It's 10 a.m. and this is WKYT Midmorning. Voting is underway in the Kentucky primary. We're tracking some of the high-profile races today.
A Lexington homeowner is assessing the damage after a truck crashed into his house.
And why a Lexington security company is warning its customers about a scam.
This is WKYT Midmorning.
Good morning from WKYT and welcome in primary election day, and well, we have some rain to deal with as well. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Barbara Bailey. Let's not make excuses for a low voter turnout before it even happens, but I can tell you my voting precinct was pretty deserted.
Pretty light out there.
Put in an umbrella, you may need it for the rest of the day.
Exactly. Steady voting in some areas, so we'll be checking the trends in just a moment. Let's check the weather trend, though, and it has been this way for some time. Rain and chilly out there, Micah.
That's exactly right. I just stepped outside about 5-10 minutes ago. That is a chilly rain falling across the region. I want to show you this, though. Look at the trends going on there. Now you're starting to see a little bit more land than you did this morning without that rain falling right over you, but there still are some showers outside, like I talked about earlier, that you're going to be seeing some breaks in the action later on this afternoon. Showers will be likely here and there, but I'd say about a 40 to 50% chance of rain later on this afternoon. So there will be times that you can get out and go vote or get out and knock some of these errands out. Temperatures right around 58 to about 62 for most. Now, some down in the southern zones, maybe around 70 degrees. That's a front headed our way. I'm going to show you when that front moves through and gets the rain on out of here. Coming up.
All right, in the news, the nation has turned its attention to the Commonwealth today to see who will emerge with momentum in the Democratic race for the White House.
Voting is underway in the Kentucky primary. Hillary Clinton is counting on a repeat win here in the Commonwealth to help snap a losing streak against rival Bernie Sanders. Despite her significant delegate lead, Clinton remains locked in a primary battle with the Vermont senator. More than 3 million Kentuckians are registered to vote, but Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes expects turnout to be low, only around 20%.
1 in 5 Kentuckians who are registered voting, that's not what democracy is about. We can do better, and my hope is that folks will take the time and get out there to cast their vote.
Donald Trump won Kentucky's GOP caucus in March. The presumptive nominee is running effectively unopposed in today's other primary in Oregon. Polls in Kentucky are open until 6 o'clock tonight. From time to time, things go wrong at the polls. If you encounter any issues, you're encouraged to tell your precinct election officer or contact your county clerk. You can also contact the State Board of Elections to report issues. Now, if your concerns are more serious or you suspect criminal activity, reach out to the Election Fraud Hotline.
There are many other races besides the Democratic presidential primary on the ballot today. Both Democrats and Republicans are choosing nominees for the U.S. Senate seat currently held by Republican Senator Rand Paul, who is seeking re-election. Lexington Mayor Jim Gray is trying to break the Democratic Party's U.S. Senate losing streak that goes all the way back to 1992. That's the last one they won when Wendell Ford did it. First, though, Gray has to defeat 6 other primary opponents.
My focus in my life has always been, my career has always been about trying to create economic opportunity. And that's exactly what I'll be doing as the next U.S. Senator.
If Gray wins today's primary, he will likely face Senator Rand Paul, who has 2 primary challengers today. Paul voted absentee. He is in Washington today, where the Senate is still in session.
I'm in Washington doing my job. I try to be here every day working hard for the taxpayers of Kentucky, making sure that big spending and excessive regulations are not stealing any more of our Kentucky jobs.
Again, Kentucky Democrats have not won a U.S. Senate race since 1992.
Kentucky's Republican primary is in the first congressional district could launch or resurrect a political career. 4 candidates are competing for the chance to replace retiring Republican U.S. Representative Ed Whitfield. James Comer is hoping to revive his political career after a close loss in the 2015 Republican primary for governor. Michael Pape is a longtime aide to retiring U.S. Representative Ed Whitfield, who wants to replace his boss in Washington. Jason Bates and Miles Cawley Jr. are also on the ballot.
If you have any questions before you head to the polls, the state has set up a website that can answer a lot of your concerns. You can visit WKYT.com, and there you can verify your voter registration as well. You can also find out where you need to go to vote and even get driving directions to your polling location. Now stay with WKYT News throughout the day for complete primary coverage. And we'll also have election results on WKYT.com and on our WKYT News app.
In other news, new on WKYT Midmorning, a Lexington business is left to clean up the mess caused by an overnight break-in. A Hearts Dry Cleaning employee says someone used a rock to smash in a side window of the store near Old Todd's Road in Man o' War. She says the would-be thief rummaged through the store before finding a safe bolted to the floor. The employee says the thief left without getting anything. And also new on Midmorning, firefighters are inspecting a Lexington house for damage after it was hit by a truck. The driver says he passed out coming down Ashland Avenue. His truck went through 2 yards and hit the corner of a house on Bullock Place. The driver was not hurt.
Georgetown police say a man led them on a wild chase in a stolen RV. That RV was stolen from the Northside RVs in Lexington, and when police tried to stop it, they say the driver, Jason Judd, took off through downtown Georgetown and sideswiped several cars. When he turned onto a dead-end street, police say he took the RV off-road through several backyards. Nobody was hurt. Judd is now facing several charges. Caught on camera, a DUI suspect crashed into a Southern Kentucky car wash. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office says it all started when Joseph Boswell punched his mother in the face. And minutes later, surveillance video shows Boswell crashing into the Ultimate Shine car wash on US 25 near London. Police say Boswell ran off only to return while the police were still there. They say he admitted to taking a prescription painkiller before the crash.
A maintenance worker at the outlet shops of the Bluegrass is accused of stealing more than $15,000 worth of designer purses. Police say Aaron Brunner stole the purses from the Kate Spade store. They say he, along with Courtney Chesser and Marlon Hill, then sold the stolen purses at various locations. Police say Brunner admitted stealing the purses to support a drug habit.
A Lexington woman is accused of exploiting an adult out of hundreds of dollars. Jennifer Caudle was arrested almost a month after the alleged crime. Police say she also charged more than $10,000 on a stolen credit card. A Lexington security company is warning its customers about fake salesmen. Over the last couple of weeks, Bates Security says customers have complained about a man showing up at their door claiming to work for the security company. In one case, the customer says the man asked for her security code. Bates Security says their employees will never come to your home without setting up an appointment first.
For the first time in its nearly 170-year history, Midway University will allow men to enroll in its daytime undergraduate programs. Midway's Board of Trustees voted unanimously to make that change. Men were already allowed to enroll in the university's online, evening, and graduate programs. The university will also begin taking applications for men wanting to live in dorms next spring. The board said it made the change so Midway University would stay viable.
Well, an employee at a North Carolina Lowe's store was bitten by a poisonous snake that fell out of a tree in the store's gardening department. The local fire department warned that people should be careful when shopping for trees, noting that snakes can be found in any store that sells trees. The worker's condition has not been released. And I hate it when that happens.
Oh, my word. Who would ever think of that? Whoa. Well, the Big Blue Nation is eagerly awaiting for Marquez Bolden to announce where he'll be taking his talents.
Word expected later in the week. The five-star center has narrowed it down to Kentucky or Duke, and he will reveal his choice on Thursday. The announcement will be at DeSoto High School near Dallas. Bolden's about 6'10", 6'11" or so. ESPN rates him the #1 center in his class. So we'll find out soon.
Oh boy, could be exciting.
Right.
Well, keep it right here this mid-morning. Winning the game in style.
We'll have a look at how an Army softball player pulled off an amazing run. That's ahead.
Still widespread rain out there at this moment, but things are looking better as we travel in towards your afternoon. I'll talk all about that coming up next.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
We're finally getting some breaks here and there, and once we get off into your afternoon, I believe there's going to be many more of that when we actually get to that 1 to 6 p.m. time frame. Here's a look across the area on First Alert Defender radar network. It's still a soggy go at it, especially for the southern areas at this moment, but I do want to show you this. There's little bits and pieces, some breaks here and there in the action. Like we were talking about, the closer we get toward noontime, the better likelihood of actually seeing these breaks. And once we get into the afternoon, you'll get a little bit more of that traveling in toward that afternoon and evening hours. 50 degrees now in Frankfort. Is still a wet go at it anywhere you go. Wet roadways, that is for sure. You've had rain all morning long and really all night long. 248 now in Jackson, and we'll finish off later on this afternoon. Right around 60 degrees. Now, I will tell you this. Some will be there in the mid-50s, some in the low 50s later on today, far northern areas. Then you get into the southern areas, you're talking about temperatures right around 70 degrees. It all depends on where you are, which will depend on that feel. However, I do expect in toward the afternoon getting some breaks in the action. That way you can get out, go vote without having to worry about that rain falling on you, and also get out to the grocery store, some of these errands that you have to run. The better likelihood of actually staying dry. It's not going to be fully dry, about 40-50% chance later on today, but the afternoon hours. Once we head off into tonight and into tomorrow, here comes a little bit more rain. But remember, some morning showers expected tomorrow. Once we hit the afternoon, it's actually pretty nice. Right around 70 degrees tomorrow afternoon. That's one dry afternoon. Let's try to make it 2 in a row. Why don't we? Thursday looks like your pick day. That's the day you want to pick out to say, okay, this is the day that I'm going to get out there, reschedule some of these events, knock out some of this yard work, because that's going to be the dry day. In mid-70s, that'll help dry some things out, too, to try to get those lawnmowers out there. Friday, here comes some more rain soaking on in here. Heavy downpour, stormy conditions on Friday. None of these days, the good news out of this, none of these days I expect any severe weather as of right now. So there's some fantastic news to pull out of that. Here's your 7-day forecast, and the next several hours are going to be pretty rainy. Remember, you will get breaks here and there. Tomorrow, it's more about the morning hours than the afternoon. Afternoon looks pretty good. Thursday looks just fine. And then Friday, Saturday, guys, here comes some soaking rain back in here. 1 to 2 inches of rain on both Saturday and Sunday put together. So yes, we do have some rainy days, but we also have dry days too. You just gotta watch which day is dry and really jump at it, because there aren't many days like that in the next
Well, that's the way it has
Noticed,
been.
yes.
Really get it all done while you can. Yeah.
All right. I guess. All right. Well, an Army softball player took a last-minute leap of faith.
You have to see this. Check out astounding this game-winning run. Casey McCravey jumps over the Lehigh University catcher. Look at that leap. Just in time to smack the plate before the ball arrives. Apparently, it is not the first time she's pulled off that stunt. McCravey did it back in high school as well. I think that you see all the excitement and so forth, but I think we see it one more time. Take a look.
Fun
Leaps
to watch.
Over
Wow.
and tags the base. What about that?
Yeah,
There's
something you
another angle.
won't forget. A founding father returns to Philadelphia, and Oscar winner Adrian Brody walks the red carpet.
Daniel Nottingham has your eye on entertainment.
Oscar-winning actor Adrian Brody walked the red carpet in New York last night for the premiere of his latest film, Manhattan Night. Brody plays a married tabloid reporter who is seduced into much more than a story by a mysterious stranger, played by Ivan Strahovski.
I feel for him. I was very compelled when I read the script.
Manhattan Night also stars Jennifer Beals. It opens in theaters and on demand Friday. The red carpet was out in Los Angeles for the stars of Neighbors 2 Sorority Rising.
You look like a psychopath.
It's a clown, man. People love clowns.
Seth Rogen and Zac Efron are back in this sequel to the 2014 frat house comedy. This time, a sorority crashes Rogen's suburban lifestyle, led by Chloe Grace Moretz.
There is no villain. Both Mac and Kelly and the girls are fighting for something that's very true. You know, the girls are fighting for the right to be women.
Neighbors 2 Sorority Rising also opens Friday.
I'm thinking past tomorrow.
And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who plays Alexander Hamilton on Broadway, addressed graduates of the University of Pennsylvania Monday. He acknowledged that Hamilton agreed to move the U.S. Capitol from Philadelphia to Washington.
As the guy who plays Hamilton every night, let me get into character for a moment and say, not bad, Philadelphia.
Miranda also received an honorary doctorate during the ceremony. And that's your eye on entertainment. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And we hope you'll keep it right here. Breaking the stigma of drug addiction, how a group of Georgetown parents is hoping to educate others.
Details about the Grace Project coming up next on WKYT. And tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is $174 million. And Wednesday night's Powerball jackpot is $60 million.
Welcome back. It's mid-morning on WKYT. We're glad you're with us today, primary election day. A group of Georgetown parents with children battling addiction is speaking out in hopes of educating others.
To talk about the Grace Project, we're joined by Karen Butcher and Lori Littrell, and we do welcome you in here today. Thanks for coming. Important topic.
Right. Karen, you have a personal connection to the issue. How did the Grace Project get started over in Georgetown?
Well, it really started with PAL. Parents of Addicted Loved Ones, and that's a parent support and education group. We meet weekly on Monday nights in Georgetown. And when I learned that my son had an addiction to opiates, I knew that I needed help. I couldn't do that alone. So that's how PAL came about. It started in Arizona. We're the first Kentucky meeting. And then I started attending ASAP meetings. Do you know what ASAP is?
I do not.
That's Agency for Substance Abuse Policy, and there are generally ASAP board meetings in every county in Kentucky. So I started attending those meetings, and I learned to become an advocate, and that's when I learned last August that there was some money available for grant funding for opiate and heroin addiction. And from writing that grant, it became the Grace Project, which is guiding recovery and community education.
And so there's a seminar Thursday night. Tell us what people can expect at that.
Okay. We have Mike Berry, who's a former news anchor, and he advocates through PAR, People Advocating Recovery in Kentucky. He's the CEO. But he does a wonderful job on messaging. So it's not just what we say, but how we say it. And what we're hoping to do is reach those 80% of people, particularly community leaders, elected officials, and let them understand that unless we keep this conversation going, it's going to be hard for us to find solutions for recovery.
I have to keep the conversation going so that people can join the conversation, right? Lori, what do you hope that, that people will take away from this education session?
Hope. Always hope. I'll never give up hope on any of them, anybody else's loved one that's battling addiction or any family member, and the stigma, to end the stigma.
And this journey can be a long journey. Does it help to have this support around?
Absolutely. If you try to go this alone, you probably go into depression and isolation, and we need each other. I knew that when I found PAL that other parents needed that too.
What would you say to somebody who knows they need to attend this meeting or something like it, but is reluctant to do that?
Well, we invite, and we are very open. We try to educate and give people tools that they need and let them know they're not alone.
So the meeting Thursday, May 19th, 6 to 8:30 p.m. at Georgetown Community Hospital. Do you just show up? Do you need to register ahead?
It would be nice if we had RSVP so we have plenty of food. Lori's in charge of the food.
Right. There'll be a light dinner served.
But we won't turn anybody away.
That head count would help, though, certainly.
Right.
Thank you all
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
It's tremendously important
Good luck
work.
with that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, keep it right here this mid-morning.
Going to check in with the Mr. Food Test Kitchen next, see what's cooking up on this Tuesday. Coming up a little later, WKYT News at noon.
A look at which races are on the ballot today in Kentucky's primary, and we'll see if the soggy weather is impacting voter turnout.
We'll be checking all those trends and all the latest news, weather, and sports. It's ahead at noon on WKYT.
Well, here's a simple recipe that's full of those cinnamon and nutmeg flavors that make this pie a specialty.
Makes it good, right?
Yes.
Today in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, it's sugar cream pie.
Today, we're making a dessert that's believed to have originated in Indiana back in the mid-1800s. Story has it that this pie was born out of necessity when apples were scarce, yet the basic ingredients of this pie were still plentiful. And judging by the popularity of the sugar cream pie, it proves that good taste never goes out of style. To make it, all we do is combine some flour, brown and white sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and a bit of salt. Once that's mixed, we add in some heavy cream, half and half, and a splash of vanilla. Now, we mix this well and pour it into a pie crust. I actually like to set my pie plate on a baking sheet just in case it sloshes over the sides when I carry it to the oven. You know, this pie is often confused with a custard pie, but let me tell you, they're not the same thing, because a true custard pie has eggs in it, and this doesn't. After this comes out of the oven, we finish it with some cinnamon sugar before letting it cool. Then get ready for a super creamy, super rich pie that has stood the test of time. I hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our sugar cream pie, or as some call it, who's your pie? And when it's this good, it really doesn't matter what you call it. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a old world way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
All right, get dessert.
It is pretty good. Not bad. Okay, let's check out the weather because this isn't good day. It isn't a good day in store. Chilly rains outside. Once we hit the afternoon, anywhere from 1 to 6 p.m., that's probably the best time to get some breaks in the action, to run out and run some errands, or even go vote without getting some rain falling on you. It's probably the best bet. Now, it's not fully dry this afternoon. You still got a 40-50% chance of rain, guys. But we actually get some dry days in store coming up. And we're going to talk all about that everybody's excited about. That's coming up at noon.
We want to hear about that.
Right. Hope you'll join us for WKYT News at noon, Kentucky's #1 midday news, and it's coming up in just a little while.
Your news always on at WKYT.com. Have a great day, everybody.